And it was also just a lot of comfort still remaining for Gen.G, right? That was basically what they put together, and they stomped that game. Didn't really matter any sort of discussions about like where team comps is strong or anything like that. Every single lane went in their favor. Flawless had a field day in the jungle as well. And Liiv's Leona was fantastic. That game on top of everything else, able to set up all of the fights that they were looking for. Zenith Blades coming out of absolutely everywhere. So really good stuff from Gen.G, but they have to do it again here in game number 2. And something that we were having a chat about in the break as Pick and Ban is going is that now Gen.G are 1 ahead on their red side victories, and they were dead even on 4 wins apiece, blue side, red side. So they have to win this to keep the equilibrium.
They have to, or else it just won't be even, and everything will be terrible.
No, we're all going to fall off.
Atlas
the table,
will lose sleep.
You know?
Atlas
I will
lose sleep over this.
I will. I'm gonna stop using. I'm gonna stop using my new makeup just so that I can make sure I look like I haven't had any sleep as much as possible. As I'm reminded of almost every single time. As here we are. Let's actually go over some of these bans. The Samira, and the Talia have all been banned away by Gen.G. Talia on blue side, notable. As the Camille that we were talking about, going to be banned alongside the Renekton and the Kalista. So Liiv Sandbox sticking to their targeted bans despite being on red side, and Gen.G. Kai'Sa is going to be a very easy first pick.
But you just get the first pick here, where Kai'Sa, where no one else has been able to get that today, just because you have to ban Rascal's Renekton. This goes back to what we were talking about earlier, especially with the Gnar ban here. You're like, ooh, we cannot allow him to have the Renekton or the Camille. It is just going to be a hard time. Otherwise, you're going to have to pick Gragas, which could get banned in the second phase, which affects all of your jungle priority, etc., etc. So they get the first pick, Kai'Sa, really easily. We're going to see Kroko get his Olaf and the counter Xayah pick here.
Yep, we're going to have that answer once again. Been seeing a lot of this Xayah in the LPL mostly into the Kai'Sa completely, so we completely understand why this one's happening. But that's a Pantheon. That's real scary. And if that's also paired with something like a Twisted Fate, I'll be really frightened for Liiv Sandbox, the amount of being able to get around the map.
Even a Galio pick could be quite strong as well. I don't think they're going to prioritize that this highly, but if you do really want to absolutely crush BDD's Twisted Fate, is a good option here. And they're just going to go towards the Azir once again. If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah,
this has been so good at controlling objectives. And with a Pantheon Global on top of this as well, like there's so much. This is already insane frontline in terms of both Pantheon's engage and his ability to negate damage and BDD's ability to peel. That Kai'Sa is just always going to be safe and will probably get a chance to Killer Instinct in wherever she wants.
Well, Fate actually thinking about the Twisted Fate for himself. I really like this. Actually, Twisted Fate and Olaf together work out very well in the early game for trying to get some ganks, and it can be difficult for Twisted Fate in the laning phase against the Azir, so would be good if Kroko could pay some attention to that mid lane. As Set is going to be banned away from Life. We're going down sort of the Life tier list. He has basically too many champions to ban away, but his Set is definitely a very strong one.
He's played 8 supports this season. He's got possibly the biggest pool. I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but it is wide, the support pool, as we'll see the Gangplank ban coming down here as well. The Twisted Fate is really nice, too, to help chase some of that global presence that the Pantheon is going to give you. So I do really appreciate it in that regard, because Pantheon can... Actually, the way it's been playing in Korea a lot on blue side is to actually invade red side jungle when you see someone like BDD try to take away some of those Raptors. He just comes in together with BDD and looks for a kill there onto someone like Summit, Olaf in this case. Gragas ban here, coming down. So a lot of
actually getting pinched a lot. As the Gragas, as well as the Gnar and the Gangplank, on top of already the Renekton and Camille that have to be banned against Rascal. See where they do go. As the final ban to come through here from Gen.G, they get rid of the Jace, so even more top lane being targeted away.
This might be a
Aatrox and Akali are both available, by the way, Wolf, so we might just see the same thing again.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Although probably not.
We might see that. We could also see something like an Ornn actually make it through this draft. It's been pretty rare, as we see there's consideration there on the Rel pick, but they want to go for that synergy there with the Xayah Rakan. It looks like, at least, with all the top priority that was not banned away. So you know, it might end up looking like oversight here for Gen.G. We'll see what the top pick that they look for is. Because
they have to round it out now.
Yeah.
Got Liif's pick as well as a top laner of some kind. Rascal thinking about going back to an old favorite here as Ornn is locked in for Gen.G. Certainly a lot of late game power coming through here for Gen.G. Blind Ornn is a little bit scary, but with the top pool so thinned, maybe it's going to be okay. We're doing it again, Wolf. It's Liif's support Jarvan, or it's support Pantheon, and we've been bamboozled.
I doubt it, but you know, it could happen. It could happen here. So it will be the Aatrox, it looks like, to answer for the Ornn. We would love to see
Susan. Give me the Susan.
Not gonna happen.
That's so sad. It's like hover something fun and then Aatrox.
There you go.
And it doesn't actually do that great into the Ornn.
Yeah.
Like, laning phase, you can, you know, win some trades, things like that, out sustain him, and stuff. But like Bramblevest comes in, especially when it's Olaf and the Aatrox. Of course, Twist of Fate is going to be up towards the top side, and you know, Fate's name is Fate for a reason. So he's likely going to be heading up towards that top side. We'll see whether it is going to work out for them, but still, the 2v2 should be absolutely fine for Rascal if there is indeed going to be one.
Once Rascal hits 6-2, he becomes basically unkillable, barring a huge mistake and barring playing a little bit too far forward in lane. And something we talked about just moments ago in our first game in the first draft and then the early parts of that game is Rascal historically has been a more slow-paced player, but recently has been extremely lightning fast and been on very aggressive champions like the Camille, right, and the Renekton. But going back to a slower pick like the Ornn here, similar to the Sion pick he lost with just a few days prior, I'm not worried about that, especially because the matchup here is against Summit, it is against Liiv Sandbox, but I feel like when you look at the composition of Gen.G, it feels very similar to the previous game, where as long as they don't fall too far behind, they have so many tools in the late game to engage. They have insane frontline. Like, how will Kai'Sa ever be in danger even for a second in this game with the Jarvan, Azir, Pantheon, Ornn? Like, it feels like a comp that is just too safe to fail the later the game goes on. So again, I think Liiv Sandbox need to be proactive early.
We'll see whether they can as we hop onto the Rift for game number 2. Liiv Sandbox with a lot more global pressure available. The Pantheon is going to be there on Gen.G's side, though, and we'll see whether that is going to be the difference maker as Croco, not actually able to take the Ghost this game, has to take Flash, because otherwise he'll be put into a Jarvan baby cage and just be running around in circles. It'll be very, very sad.
Yes, that would be very sad. It is my cat Hong outside crying. I hope that is.
Oh no!
She's very sad.
Hong
she wants to watch the games live, you know, but she's gonna have to turn into twitch.tv/LCK.
Dongtrol's doing the same thing. He's like lying down behind me. He's very upset. He was like scratching the heck out of this jacket. I really hope that the LCK don't want it back because it's already got like cat holes all over the side. Because, you know, sometimes cat just wants to play, and when their dad is just, you know, working all day, it's just not good enough, is it really? If you're a cat.
I've got one cat scratch hole in my jacket as well. I have no idea when it got there because I haven't handled any cats while wearing this. So,
it just happens,
kitties.
man.
Yeah.
It's like cat fur. It just gets everywhere, no matter where the cats are. It doesn't matter if they exist in the house. Fur's gonna be all over the place.
Yeah, it's like you open a box of new clothes that's shipped to your house. You open it up and there's cat fur in there. The clothes are vacuum sealed, and you're like, well, how did the cat fur get in here before I even opened the box? How's that even possible? Sense.
It's one of life's many mysteries, you know. As Croco, he's starting off on his blue buff. It's going to be mirrored starts here for our junglers. They should meet towards the top side. We'll see who's going to be able to get the Rift Scuttler priority. As Ruler and Life here towards the bottom side. Life is just going to be putting flags down. As you can see, lots of poke potential out of this airy Jarvan. And the gameplay is it's very technical, by the way, guys. I'll go through it for you for a second, just to break down how difficult it is. What you do is you hover your mouse over the enemy champion, whichever one you want. As I'm going to get interrupted. Grand Entrance does come down. That's actually decent damage onto Ruler there. As Light, there's the E. Flashes, grabs the knock-up. Not sure whether that was necessary, but they do get the flash out of Leo and the exhaust out of effort. Not bad stuff.
No, this is going to make it so much easier for Life to actually play forward with no exhaust there. He's not done.
Yeah, another one. I don't know whether the passive was back up again. That would have done a decent amount of damage there to Leo, but still, do you know what Liif's going to do? I'm going to go back to my point, okay?
Yeah, go
what
for
you
it.
do is you hover your mouse over enemy champion, put down the E button, and then you get first blood. It's so easy. As Ruler's going to pick up that kill with the Acathian Rain, grabs himself the Siege minion as well, and this is just the power of the Jarvan. Again, see, look, more mechanics. Puts down the flag on top of the Rakan. Wait for it to come back off cooldown. He'll do it again.
Super easy to build up your Spell Thief stacks as well.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, there you go again.
See?
There's some area damage. And it's so powerful against squishy supports, Atlas. Like the Rakan, you know, like the Seraphine as well. It can be strong there, although you're going to have a much more complicated matchup with the Jarvan in that case. But it is going to be a lot of extra poke damage, and it does play like an AP Enchantress support in a lot of ways. It's just impossible to mess it up.
Yeah.
You know, it's easier than Lux support.
Yeah, you can't miss. As Rascal looking for some damage onto Summit, actually just trying to get out, as my brain was on the wrong side, thinking back to game one. Of course, Rascal's going to be okay, Bella's breath, to get a bit of damage back onto Summit. And it looks like he'll just probably go back home eventually, as this wave is crashing towards the turret. So we'll be after that, as we're going to check this one out. That was a very sexy EQ flash.
EQ flashes from Life have been phenomenal on this Jarvan this season, and they just trade it back, come back in once more. Ruler's not there to actually commit the Acathian Rain onto him the first time, but, you know, you have to last hit minions. At least that's what Leo's thinking. He's like, well, I mean, am I going to play League of Legends, or am I just going to sit under a turret? The answer is probably should have sat under a turret in this case, but just gets blown up there with another flag drag.
Yeah, that was actually really clean out of Ruler as well. The Flash W situation there with the Q immediately buffered afterwards. It was a lot of burst damage onto Leo. He had no real right to be up that far, however. So a little bit sad for Liiv Sandbox, the Lovers duo, having a bit of a quarrel down here.
Certainly. Look at the build, too, for Ruler. Just buys 3 long swords.
That's a lot of
When you
swords.
get a lead. And, you know, versus a delayed sword buy here, coming in from Leo. He'll only get 2. 3 swords are better than 2, as the saying goes.
Yeah, I think that is a saying. Precisely. I'm glad that you were on the board there.
Hanarabi, I think.
Yeah. A couple of biscuits. Rascal, checking out his win rate. His Ornn was certainly one of his most popular picks, as he takes a beating while we're looking at his really cool stats. A little bit of a shame there. 21-10, though, is pretty decent. Was certainly one of the champions that he was playing most when Gen.G were at their highest. As effort lying in wait, Jarvan going to come on forward, as there's the battle dance into Grand Entrance, and BDD says, yeah, but what do you want? And then just walks away.
Yeah, BDD looked more confused than, like, in that movement there. He looked a little bit more confused than worried. As desperate times call for desperate measures. This is what we were talking about, or really, I was honing in super hard on the effort, not only in this series, but also in the previous one that they played against T1, is he's such an aggressive roaming support, but when you're losing lane this hard and you're getting dominated this hard, like, you can't find anything.
I like this. Wait for Liiv to use his E. Sidesteps the Grand Entrance very nicely, but he's still going to die. Takes a little while, and Ruler's able to offer a lot of damage back, but still, they grab the kill. That's 1 apiece for both of these teams, and no potential perfect games this time on the side of Liiv Sandbox.
Yeah, those he fails to get value in mid, but just rotates right back down into a very far pushed lane. And, you know, Kroko was there to help them secure that kill. Flawless had 6, but was just too far away to ult in for the save. So small disconnect there between, you know, Gen.G's bottom lane and their Pantheon. Because obviously Pantheon, usually in moments like this, will be hovering around the bottom side of the map, because that's where you're going to be risky. That's where you're going to be most vulnerable when you are pushing a lane like this. But he is just simply not there. You can see the pings on the map as well. He's actually tussling with Summit in the top lane. He's nowhere near being able to ult in. So nice execution here. Good map read by Liiv Sandbox.
Yeah, also good timing as well. You wait for the E to go down, and then you kill the Jarvan support. It's just how that one works. That's why we often see the Jarvan paired with the Kalista. That's what Gen.G did last time. That's when it looked genius. Because once level 6 is hit, you're never actually in danger of getting punished, because Fate's Call's always going to be there to keep you alive. This time around, not going to be the case, as Life does need to be careful and make sure that he gets enough vision to allow the E harass to continue. Because you use it for harass, but then you also throw away your only form of escape.
Yeah, very true. You know, there's a trade-off for everything.
Yeah.
Aggressive support like this. That's part of the reason why he's so strong, is because he attack, but he run away. I was going to say protect, but not really, he really doesn't do that very often.
But it's like he attack, but if he attack, he can't protect.
Yeah.
Maybe? I don't know. It's confusing.
The analogy doesn't work out, you know?
Yeah.
I tried, but you know, it's just not the one.
I'll forgive you just this once. As I don't know whether we're going to be forgiving Summit, because he picked the Aatrox into the Ornn, and he's currently behind. Ornn actually shoving this lane quite nicely, and it's not really the punishment that you'd want. As I guess, you know, other options weren't really aplenty. There were a lot of top lane bans, but still, not exactly the outcome that Sandbox were looking for.
Yeah,
Life and Ruler over here.
And Flawless has been spending most of his time on the top side of the map, so you do have to respect that if you're Summit. He's going to rotate down. This is actually going to be a really big test of Liiv Sandbox's ability to hold on to an objective they get an advantage on. It actually resets. So, like, it's do or die time right now if you're Liiv Sandbox. They're being so indecisive. And BDD is just going to sit here in the lane and shove it if you don't decide. And if you do commit, he's got his ultimate, so...
Well, Ruler going to have to flash out of the way of the Grand Entrance. I don't know whether he necessarily needed to, but didn't quite know who was lying in wait there. So, Effort does get a good summoner spell out of Ruler, and that might stop the domination that they've seen on the bottom side, as Flawless will be able to grab Rift Scuttler. That gives them some permanent vision for the next little while in front of the Herald Pit. And Ruler back down towards the bottom side. Seems like we're not going to be fighting over Shelly just yet.
Very quiet early game here with, you know, besides that exchange in the bottom lane. Neither team really trying to make a big commitment to the Rift Herald or the early first Drake. It's a Cloud Drake, so, you know, not going to be getting that one from you this time. And it's very much a, you know, low impact Drake at this stage in the game. They are going to connect here with Croco, though, and start that off. You can see already Rascal is on the Herald. So
yeah, started that one off. See where Pantheon's going to go. Looks like they're not interested in the Cloud Drake, and to be perfectly honest, they've given away most of them that they've seen. They've picked up the majority of Infernal Drakes, Gen.G have, but Cloud Drake's just not really where they've been putting their efforts. As Life continuing just to try and be bothersome, and it looks like Ruler's going to go back, see what he can put together as far as items, and he's 20 CS in the lead.
A weird path for Flawless to take too. He's actually down here on Krugs right now. And you can see the pings coming through actually for Leo and Effort, because they're like, okay, he's got to be nearby, right? But he wasn't here in time to stop the Drake, and nor is this a good time for him to actually support this bottom lane. Life is here alone, so that's really unfortunate timing. A much better rotation from Croco, much more valuable, because like he also didn't help. While he was down there, he didn't help Rascal get this Herald. So now there's vision on this Rift Herald. Rascal wasn't able to take that. He was alone there and backed away. So no trade back for Gen.G. It's not a huge deal, but you know, it's pretty significant that he was just kind of on the wrong side of the map twice. Flawless was.
Especially when Liiv Sandbox almost got perfect gamed last time around. So certainly a better situation for them to find themselves in. This is a game where Gen.G certainly have far more scaling in their composition. But Liiv Sandbox do have different options, right? They can just get away from team fights. They can utilize Twisted Fate and summon on this Aatrox to try and play side lanes instead and avoid the team fights that are going to be very, very difficult for this composition. As Croco throws out an Undertow. Life is just here. Let's see whether the flags are going to do the work. There we go. Flag onto Croco. Take it. And another Rift Scuttler has spawned. It looks like Liiv Sandbox looking to set up for this Rift Herald. Xayah going to be rotating first.
Yeah.
Out of the bottom lane, as Ruler might actually stick around and look for plates, as Summit is going to get the inside track down the river. The flash forward, but that's a great buffer on the flag and drag. Flash out from Life as well. Will keep himself alive, gets a slight shield from that W. And now the Ornn Horn has been sounded. Does get a couple of knockups here, as in goes Flawless. Finds the man drop as Summit's going to flash out of the way of the Searing Charge. Leo just under fire a little bit underneath this turret as Ruler lands the Void Seeker as well. And now Gen.G are going to be able to head towards Shelly and try and take her down. Summit lying in wait. Flawless is just going to walk away.
this is really hard for Liiv Sandbox to defend. They used almost all of their early engage tools in that fight, the previous skirmish, and now they're just trying to reapproach this. But BDD, oh, he misses.
No. Yeah, doesn't get the Emperor's Divide whatsoever. Has to flash, get himself out of the way. Great double knock up. There's the Cataclysm. The stopwatch is available for life, but I have a feeling he's going to be falling down regardless. 4 members, a little too many for just one Jarvan to deal with, and that is going to be Eye of the Herald over to Croco, and they just say thanks for the leash.
And that is, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of that is on BDD.
Yeah.
He doesn't hit his Emperor's Divide. If he hits that, the team fight ends in that moment. It's just cleanup, but he misses, and now BDD again in trouble.
Yep, the full punishment. Tries to shift some sands to get out of the way as Fate. Tanking up that turret for a while, but he's got a stopwatch. And Shelly is going to hurt her noggin a little bit, but will help try and take down this turret as life turns up, but he's a little bit too late.
This is looking really good for Liiv Sandbox this game. Somebody's kind of taking back control of this top lane. And, I mean, Life used his flash early on in that fight. You know, he buffered the stun coming through from the gold card with his jump. We're going to watch this again, so I can show you as I tell you about it. Like, he flag drags away, then flashes. It's actually a beautiful retreat from Life.
Yeah.
And that was all the initiation for Liiv Sandbox. Rascal teleports in on the other side of the fight, so they have to back away here. The Ornhorn is good. And he feels like, okay, this is done. This is over. Now Life gets a kill onto the Rakan, and someone is kind of isolated here as the flash over the wall. Feels like, okay, this is a Herald, right? They've got it totally under control, and the BDD initiates into a fight and misses his ultimate. So now he's irrelevant. He can't fight anymore. Life still keeps going. They probably should have backed off as soon as that missed. And now Life can't get away. He already used his flash just moments ago.
Yeah.
BDD is going to get collapsed on here a moment later after the Herald is taken. But yeah, very much a fight that, with that Emperor's Divide going differently, looks very different.
Yeah, a little bit sad. You have to assume that Umbral Dash is going to be available from an Aatrox, and yeah, I don't even know whether it would have been fantastic if he had have picked him up, right? Because Aatrox does like to get in amongst it. But still, let's hope that Gen.G can pull themselves together and we get some better team fights as the game goes on. Ruler's transitioned towards the top side. His Gale Force is in hand, and as you can see, Gold Lead slipped away from Gen.G after they did manage to get to about a 1,000 lead earlier on, and now Fate's only going to extend the Liiv Sandbox situation by taking down his outer turret in mid. And for a Twist of Fate to be this far in the lead as far as the lane, that's fantastic work. And now destinies like this can happen, because he's going to jump forward. Ruler immediately cleanses, and Fate may have bit off more than he can chew. Immediately afterwards, Ruler gets out with the Killer Instinct and Flawless locks down the kill, but Ruler's going the wrong direction. Grand Entrance avoided, but I still think he's in a bit more trouble than he wants to be. There's the Supercharge. Buys a lot of time, but he's still dead.
No, there's no more follow-up damage to help save him there. They're going to shove Everett out of here. I don't think you're committing to that one, buddy. He's going to take some poke damage, but ends up being a 1-for-1 here. Really well coordinated, actually, by Gen.G, and an impressive dive onto Fate from Ruler. Even though it's a trade, though, Rascal is still getting value on the bottom side of the map. Is going to get the entirety of this turret, finishing it off, getting a ton of extra CS down here. 20 CS up, in fact, at the moment. So, traded back here by Liiv Sandbox, but ending up losing their turret does hurt. Watch this fight again as you see the Destiny comes through right in the middle of where Ruler is standing. So Ruler's like, okay, I'm Killer Instinct in here. There's no way out for Fate. He's between a rock and a hard place. And the Ruler, unfortunately, just goes the wrong way. He flashes over the wall, but then gets caught by the charm. And,
yeah, it doesn't have a lot of options at this point, but maybe could have gone down into the Baron Pit. However, hindsight's 20/20, and he bought a lot of time. I guess we can give him that.
Sure. As this is looking like a Liiv Sandbox streak. Second one of the game. Gen.G cannot engage here. They're too slow. They're going to look for Summit.
Yeah, there's the flash forward. Not going to get knocked up as there's the Ornhorn, and it looks like Rascal should be able to grab him. There we go. Can't dash far enough as the shield is set up, and Flaws is going to help Rascal grab that kill. And the Orn is only more terrifying now.
Yeah. He's got his Frostfire completed. Plated steel caps. I mean, the guy is tanky. He does a lot of damage. He's going to get bigger as well. More items he builds, which isn't really that useful, I guess, for the Ornn. But, you know,
he'll be basically unkillable. It'll be real scary.
Once he gets...
has the Bramble Vest already.
Yeah, once we get to the late game, too, he could start buffering or bolstering these items across the board for his team. And as the fights become more and more objective-based, you know, those Baron fights later on, and denying some of these upcoming Drakes the sole point, his ults, his Ornhorns are going to be really team fight defining oftentimes. At least they're able to trade this back on the Summit, you know? It's a really nice play here from Rascal. And, you know, you lose the Drake, but again, at this stage, you're not too worried about that. Your composition scales very well. And to make Rascal more of a menace is a great start to the comeback.
Well, Life is going to spot Effort and Croco over this wall. B2D tries to throw some soldiers in there. Not too much going to come from it, as they're just clearing out vision on both sides. Liiv Sandbox should be able to try and take this one down, but maybe not going to get there in time. Sand Soldiers get there, and this outer turret is going to survive for the moment. Ruler just setting up in the mid lane. He has Cleanse almost available again, but before that does come back up, he does need to respect Fate and that gold card.
I mean, he's got his Gale Force. He wants so much more maneuverability in this game. Instead of going for the Kraken Slayer that we see a lot of Kai'Sa's build.
Yep.
Just wanted to point that one out. Ends up being very, very maneuverable, and also has a bit more execute damage as well to kill people like Fate if he's able to, you know, jump into the backline, use that killer instinct. The Gale Force is going to be an awesome execute. So I actually really like this.
Yeah, I like it into the Olaf as well, because you can create a bit more distance when he tries to dive on top of you. You can't have too many dashes when you're against that guy. But we'll see how Ruler is going to utilize it as the game goes on. He's been playing very aggressively thus far as Rascal cleans out yet another minion wave. He's very close to level 13. Things starting to get dangerous for Liiv Sandbox as Rascal's going to be putting together all of these ornaments. We'll have Typhoons. We'll have the Rhyme Forged something or other that he gets to put together with his Crossfire Gauntlet. We'll have the Leandri's Lament? Leandri's Lament, I believe?
Yes.
I mean, there's Agony, Torment, all sorts of different things, but I think it's the Lament that you get. And then the Gorg Guzzler or something. I don't know the name of that one.
Well, you know, nobody really knows the names. I think you're going to be the first one to know all of them, but we're getting there. We're getting there. A lot of new items.
There are certainly a lot. I don't know why they had to rename all of the Ornn items as well. That's not very fair. But that's okay. At least
they decided
we got
casting
correct.
was too easy. You know, they were like, well, we're going to have to do a nerf to play-by-play casters. Even though the color commentators are the ones that's supposed to know it, that we all just kind of go, wow. We'll leave that up to Max because he's going to try.
I do like giving it a go. I do like giving it a go. As Ruler turns up into the mid lane, I do want to point out that the Gore Drinker is Ceaseless Hunger. I think Gore Guzzler is better. I like Gore Guzzler way better.
I agree. Rapid Fire Cannon is done here for Fate, as we saw yesterday, pointed out by everybody. That is going to make it a lot easier to get long-range stuns off, which can really affect how Flawless and BDD approach some of these engages. Rascal is just going to be safe to ult at a really far distance no matter what, and can, of course, like slowly make his way into the team fights. But that's a big power spike for the Twisted Fate at this mid-game point. And it is going to be an Infernal Soul. You know, we haven't really touched on how that's going to be a big comeback potential for Gen.G. Also great for Liiv Sandbox because they're closest to the Soul Point. So these Drake fights are way more important than any of the ones we've seen so far tonight. And they really
potential for Infernal is so scary. You're exactly right about that one. And Gen.G in the mid lane here, trying to soften up the members of Liiv Sandbox as we got 15 seconds before that Infernal comes down. And Wolf, you're right about it being important. The Destiny is going to come down, and Fate, he's just going to use it to reposition. A teleport comes on forward, and now the Destiny not giving the vision that they wanted. Rascal, we'll see when this Ornhorn is going to sound, as immediately Flawless is just evacuated from Summoner's Rift. Effort also has to leave. Does get to hold on to his life, but will need to go back home. And Gen.G, 4v4 now. See what they can do. We don't have a smite available, and that's why Croco has started this one off. They'll have to win a fight before they try to go for any sort of Drake. As Fate does get a gold card in, but BDD is able to create some distance, and Effort actually comes on back in.
Have to respect
Gen.G, this is dangerous.
They have to respect Gen.G's ults, especially BDD's Emperor's Divide, that can turn this team fight in an instant. Rascal moving forward.
Yeah, Ruler steals away a blue buff as well. Nice work, you know, everything that you get around the side. Certainly good news, as Croco's taken half of his health bar from the Dragon alone, I believe, as here's the Ornhorn finally. Life goes in. Nice double knock up there from the Orn as Ruler supercharging, basically unhindered in the backline. Just does it all pretty much by himself. Locks down Leo, and this is exactly what we were talking about. Flawless makes his way back into the fight, and now they're able to take down this Dragon very comfortably. Just enough time bought. Beautifully done by Gen.G.
Yeah, really well played. And this is, you know, we talked about this composition doing well in the late game. It's not just because Kai'Sa scales well in the late game and because ornaments are strong, but it's also because this composition is so difficult to fight around on objectives. The composition of Liiv Sandbox is great when you can get a single pick from a gold card. You can actually look for one of those skirmishes in the top lane. This is actually one of those long-range gold card moments here onto Flawless. The capitalization on this is amazing. You see the charm come through. Effort walks away. But he has to back, right? He's essentially dead. And this 4v4 fight that ensues, right? It's just so difficult. It's like, I mean, Effort is back here now, but it's so difficult to fight in these chokes with the Jarvan ult, with the Ornhorn. And look at Ruler. He's just like, okay, well, you don't have gold cards, so there's nothing you guys can do. There's no peel. I'm just going to follow forward and chase. So many different ultimates that could be used around controlling these objectives that it gets harder and harder for Liiv Sandbox to get those singular picks, to get those skirmish fights with the Aatrox, the Gore Drinker. It's just so hard now, Atlas. And it's going to get even harder.
And also, like, I just love how Ruler plays when he has Cleanse up. I feel like he uses Cleanse as an offensive spell, because it means that he just goes in with Reckless Abandon. You saw him do it right there. Now he has 2 cleanses as the QSS is being picked up on top of that Collector that he already had for himself. This Kai'Sa is very, very far ahead, and we've seen her banned almost all day. I believe she's been banned in every game that we've had outside of this one. And we're getting a lesson on exactly why that is the case from one of our best AD carries in the LCK.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, when you have this much peel, and this much hard engage so that no one can follow up on you, nobody can chase you down and kill you, you just walk forward, you have Cleanse, and I mean, otherwise, even without it, there's just not much to stop you. When everyone is retreating on Liiv Sandbox, you just Killer Instinct in and do all of the damage. QSS as well now, so
yeah,
I mean, good luck.
It might feel like overkill, but when it's Ruler, like, he uses it so offensively that he might need 2 of them in a team fight. As he cleanse first to get a bunch of that tenacity. If you see any more of them towards the second half of the fight, then you use your QSS. And it's pretty much just Ruler free hitting despite what you're throwing at him. It's frightening stuff.
Look at where Ornn is right now. Rascal about to have teleport. He's going to slowly walk over now. If they overextend here, if Liiv Sandbox overextend here, they're not going to walk out. He's actually hiding his positioning at the moment. And they do start to kind of fade away here as they're looking to kind of kite back towards the Baron, set up for vision control here, which they do have at the moment. And you see Rascal go right back down the lane. But he and Summit both can teleport in at any moment.
Yep. We do still have another ornament to give over, level 15 for Rascal, so Typhoon should be coming in relatively soon.
There we go.
As in goes Life once again. Leo's the one that's put in the baby cage this time as Effort. He's in a lot of trouble as well. Rascal finds the flank. Beautiful aim on the Ram as now Summit was like, maybe I'll go in, and then he's like, maybe not, and then back in with the World Ender, but he's stunned up, gets a huge shield as Rule is just standing in the front line, and now Olaf, thinking that he's tanky, is absolutely not. Life gets away from Fate, and Rascal does not care about Fate's damage whatsoever. Ruler picks it up with a Void Seeker in the end, and now Fate finds himself as the last man standing. Gen.G, they were down in gold, but effective stats and their value, they were certainly ahead.
Oh,
as that's just what Ornn does.
That's what Ornn does. He gives you those ornaments, but he also gives you insane flank angles. They start the fight off well. He comes in with a teleport with a very aggressively placed ward, is able to get a nice Ornhorn to make sure nobody on Liiv Sandbox can retreat to re-engage. Fate is here alone. They know Rakan is on his way, and this will actually stop the Baron. It's a nice play here from Fate. And that's a lot of this actually is made easier by the fact that they had that scuttle available. But wow, what a really clean team fight for Gen.G, and the items, the engage, it all is coming back to us. And watch where these 2 teleports go, right? The teleport here for the Ornn is at the perfect spot, and he just instantly Ornhorns. There's no way out. Effort's taken out by the Ornhorn.
Yeah.
And you see the second knock up there is good enough, and then Summit comes in, and he is like, okay, I'm Aatrox, I got Gore Drinker, it's pretty broken. But he's just outnumbered at this stage and gets taken out.
And in the meantime, Ruler is pretty much untouched. Off towards the backside, Liiv flags, drags, gets out of the way of Fate, and it was just pretty well played by Gen.G. After all is said and done, just looking like the better team on the day right now. 700 gold currently in the lead as they've pulled that advantage back. And they're set up once again for this outer turret. 3 seconds on the Infernal Drake as Croco is in position, but Liiv moving on down. They will find this control ward. Summit looking for the flank angle as Rascal has another ornament to give over as that ceaseless hunger comes through.
Fate's gonna have to Destiny for a flank. He's so late. Here he comes.
Yep, Summit gets over the wall as well. In goes Fate with his Proto Belt. Cataclysm set up on the backside. And now Leo's just going to be taken down. Ruler gets in with the Killer Instinct. Emperor's Divide onto Summit, who tries to get out of the way and does keep himself alive for a little while, but it's a double kill for Ruler. And now he's chasing after Croco as well. Make it a Quadra as he's looking for the Penta onto Fate. Fate will get out of the way, though, and will deny Ruler his rightful Penta. And he'll have to settle for an Infernal Drake.
He'll have to settle for a second Infernal Drake, as the third one feels like it may not be necessary in this game. Gen.G can now open up the map completely. They've taken a firm gold lead here, and it was just a perfect team fight once again for Ruler. Who
Unofficial Penta?
Almost. He doesn't care about this turret. He's not interested at all. He's not interested in the turret damage. He's like, yeah, I'm doing fine. But if you watch the team fight too, when we watch it back, you know, Fate comes in with a Destiny, so, you know, he wants to wait and re-engage in, have the Destiny kind of give him that safe engage. And look at where he goes, too. So, yeah, look at where Ruler is right now. And then Destiny comes in, he's like, okay, this is perfect. I can look for the stun on the Ruler. Gets the gold card on the Ruler a million miles away. And look at all the peel that comes through in the interim. Ruler just instantly Killer Instincts in. There's the big Emperor's Divide on the Summit, and Ruler is just free hitting forever in this fight. No pressure on him whatsoever outside of the initial gold card, and Ruler is having the game of his life.
Yeah, and also holds on to the cleanse, right? He created enough distance, didn't care about the rapid fire gold card because he created enough, and then has cleanse and QSS for the remainder of the fight. So like you were saying, he just basically stays in melee range and mows everyone down because no one can stop him. This outer turret will go down, Gen.G, probably with Baron on their mind right here. But it's 8-1-3 Typhoon Kai'Sa, who now has 5 items, looking for Infinity Edge as the final one, I would assume. As, yes, Kai'Sa's broken, but Ruler's also pretty good. As now, Liiv looking for a possible opportunity. Rascal inside the Cataclysm. Who's stuck in where with who is the question, as Leo up into the Featherstorm, trying to stay alive in the backline. Some low health bars on Gen.G, but the Blade Caller not good enough. Effort gonna get a knock up there onto BDD, who flashes out, shifts some sand. Good knock up from Rascal as well as Ruler, continuing to free hit on the backline, but now gonna be moved out of the way. Fate threatening with the gold card, and they will be able to lock down 3 kills, and now Liiv Sandbox look like they're in control.
Oh, they certainly are, and the question is, where was that Emperor's Divide in that fight? He was holding it, holding it, holding it. It looked like he wanted to have it at the perfect time to turn the fight around with Ruler, but he just never got to use it, and he died. Or rather, didn't. I suppose he didn't die, actually just got away, but he was never able to turn that fight around. And that was a bit weird, as Ruler's going to come over here by himself, look for another. He's like, oh, I didn't get the Penta last time, I'm coming for it this time. Look at the damage.
Yeah, he has a lot of damage here as Ruler will get stunned up.
BDD!
USS. There's the Emperor's Divide you were looking for. Will Killer Instinct right into the backline, flashes over, and this is why he held on to it. They wanted to get it 2 versus 4, and Gen.G now looking to try and crush this game.
Never gonna doubt BDD holding that Emperor's Divide ever again. Never, never, ever gonna doubt it. There's only a few moments, you know, where you can redeem yourself that hard, and this is one of them. So there's so much CC here going into this fight. You know, you do see BDD coming from the top of this fight again, but everyone gets super low. Liiv Sandbox have a really nice disengage, and then the collapse here onto BDD, and he just doesn't Emperor's Divide. He retreats. He leaves the rest of his team to their own devices, and he's actually having so much faith that Ruler is going to turn this by himself with the damage output he has, but it's too little too late. They win the fight, but you go to the Baron pit, and it's a 2 versus 5. VDD says, this is what I was waiting for. Everyone's at half health for Liiv Sandbox. He initiates in, and it is just a disaster.
Oh my god. Filthy amounts of damage as Ruler gets in, then flashes immediately over the wall, and everyone is just swept up. It's a full house. Ruler's full of BDDs. And now Gen.G in perfect position to start threatening some inhibitors. It's a big gold lead as well, about 5,000. And I actually said 2 versus 4 because I'm like, surely they're not going in 2 versus 5. But it was, in fact, 2 versus 5 at that instance. As Summit taking a lot of damage, Searing Charge gets the knock-up. As Rascal's pretty big in that backline, and now Flawless man dropping in to try and get some damage down, but now finds himself kind of lonely. There's the Ornhorn, though. Effort actually going to avoid it for the minute as Pantheon picks up the kill onto the Zyre, and now Leo finds himself in that death chamber once again. Inhibitor will be going down. We'll see whether Gen.G just try and push for the win right here.
It looks like it. Ruler is just playing so well. He's playing out of his mind. He's going to get away here, no problem. And I think they've just got too much damage.
Yeah, Ruler just going into his supercharge whenever he needs to. That Nexus turret not going to be long for the world as now Killer Instinct comes in. That's a double kill instantly. Summit going to go down as well, and the Nexus will follow. Gen.G, a decisive 2-0 in the end. Liiv Sandbox made